The world was not waiting for another shock, but Washington delivered one anyway. With a single document, the United States has redefined who it fears, who it confronts, and who it may abandon. This is not just another strategy update. This is a geopolitical fault line, one that could reshape Russia, China, Europe, and the global economy itself. For decades, America's national security doctrine followed a clear pattern: dominate militarily, control financially, and expand politically. But Trump's new strategy breaks that rhythm. It does not name one clear enemy. It does not fully commit to old alliances. And it sends mixed, dangerous signals to both friends and foes. China is framed as the long-term threat. Russia is treated as a problem that can be managed, and Europe is being quietly told that its security is no longer guaranteed. Ambiguity is now America's primary weapon. But in geopolitics, ambiguity often invites escalation instead of preventing it. To understand how dangerous this moment is, we have to go back. After World War II, America built a system that controlled trade, money, energy, and military power. The Cold War gave that system a clear enemy. After 1991, that enemy vanished, and with it, strategic discipline collapsed. Russia fell, then returned angry. China rose silently, then suddenly, and now, for the first time in modern history, the United States is facing two near equal rivals at the same time. Trump's strategy quietly admits a hard truth. America can no longer dominate Europe, Russia, and China all at once. So it is choosing where to focus and where to retreat. On Russia, the message is dangerously unclear. Publicly, Moscow is called a disruptor. Privately, it is treated as a negotiable adversary. Ukraine remains the battlefield, but long-term commitment is quietly shrinking. For Russia, the signal is simple. Sanctions can be bargained, territory can be traded, and NATO's red lines are no longer permanent. This is not peace. This is conditional confrontation. On China, the message is the opposite. Everything in this strategy points toward one unavoidable conclusion. China is the real system-level rival of the United States. From semiconductors to supply chains, from shipping lanes to Taiwan, from cyber warfare to artificial intelligence. Every critical pressure point now points at Beijing. But here is the danger. America wants to contain China while reducing pressure on Russia and disengaging from Europe. This is strategically unstable because China does not stand alone. Russia supplies energy. Iran controls key regional choke points. BRICS weakens the dollar, and the Global South refuses to choose sides. This is no longer a Cold War. This is a multi-front power struggle without fixed rules. On paper, America remains the world's most powerful military. But modern war is no longer won by aircraft carriers alone. It is won by factories, chips, satellites, missiles, energy, and manufacturing depth. And here, the limits are showing. Missile stockpiles are stretched. Industrial output lags behind China. Naval dominance in the Pacific is no longer guaranteed. Air superiority near Taiwan is no longer certain. Trump's doctrine reflects this shift. It quietly moves from dominance everywhere to selective superiority. The Pacific becomes the priority. Europe becomes secondary. The Middle East becomes a managed problem, not a decisive battlefield. This is not confidence. This is forced triage. The military shift is matched by an economic one. Sanctions were once America's ultimate weapon. Now they are showing signs of exhaustion. Russia built parallel financial systems. China built alternative supply chains. The Global South built new trade routes beyond Western control. As Yanis Varoufakis would describe it, the global economy is fragmenting into armed economic blocs. The dollar still dominates, but it is no longer unchallenged. And when monetary fear weakens, military deterrence weakens with it, energy now sits at the center of everything. Oil and gas are no longer just commodities, they are weapons of survival. Trump's strategy pivots hard toward energy nationalism, maximum domestic production, selective partnerships, reduced Middle East entanglement. This weakens Iran's leverage. It undercuts OPEC's power. It limits Russia's energy blackmail. But it leaves Europe exposed. Europe now faces the most dangerous combination in geopolitics: high costs, weak military independence, and fading American certainty. Germany rearms slowly. France lacks economic mass. Eastern Europe prepares for permanent militarization. NATO still exists, but its psychological certainty is cracking. And when alliances begin to feel conditional, deterrence collapses. At the deepest level, this strategy is not about victory. It is about managing decline without triggering collapse. It accepts that America can no longer control globalization. It can no longer enforce financial obedience forever. It can no longer fight two major wars at the same time. So it divides rivals, monetizes instability, and sells protection selectively. This is not empire at its peak. This is empire managing risk. The next decade now splits into dangerous possible futures. A fragile, multipolar stability where nobody fully wins. A Taiwan confrontation that shocks global trade. A European war that drags NATO into internal fracture. A financial system that splits into rival currency zones. All of these futures now exist at the same time. Trump's new national security strategy does not promise peace. It does not guarantee war. It announces something far more unsettling: a world where power is fragmented, where deterrence is conditional, where alliances are negotiable, and where the rules are no longer shared. This is not the end of American power, but it may be the end of the world that was built under it.